Good morning. Welcome, beautiful souls. This is my Advent calendar, day 13. And I thought today I would review and comment further on yesterday's thing to do with the tarot, besides do a reading. There were a few questions, and I think this is important as well for me to carry on with this practice. And so I'm going to demonstrate this and talk about this a little bit more by choosing a feeling for myself for today. If you were not here yesterday, let me just explain a little bit more. I chose Tarot Avatara as my deck for this exercise because it is a deck that is, for me, a powerful healing deck for the sacral chakra. And I suggest for this exercise, you choose a deck. I suppose I should talk before I go live. You should choose a deck that evokes a lot of feeling within you for this exercise. The exercise is quite simple. We're going to shuffle the deck, choose a card, and respond to it, choosing a feeling word to go with the card that we draw. The sacral chakra is the home of all of the feelings, and this is something I speak about quite a lot, and that is the lens, the paradigm, the mandala of the chakras that can be painted upon the tarot. And I designed a few courses, and I've been working with this for a while. And if you want to learn more about this, there are some links to courses down below. It's interesting when this card, when I turned it over, I had quite a positive response. And then my words, my word began to change. And what is really intriguing me is all the little marks on her arms and on her dress. In the dark, I don't remember what they are, but in the dark here, I can't really tell what they are. But I'm just going to sit with this for a moment. There's a lot of water in this card. It is just full of emotion. Now I am drawn to the arms and the flow of the arms. The arms are really dancing together well. It appears as if she has roots in the water, and he is joining her in the water. It's like he is joining her in her home, almost as if he is wanting to be a part of her healing journey. And so I return to quite a tender sentiment to this. And so for my word today, I'm simply going to choose love. And in that expression, in that aspect of love, I'm truly thinking of unconditional love. Unconditional love. How truly selfless for the partner to step into the water to be a part of your healing journey. So in this exercise, we are not reflecting and running all of the lessons we have learned about the definition of a particular card. We are allowing a response to emerge from the card. It may be positive, it may be negative. And I don't want you to get too wrapped up in whether it is positive or negative. And I'm going to speak to that in a moment. Just, it doesn't have to be the first word that comes to mind. Yesterday, surprisingly, that was what I went with. You can allow the word, the feeling to emerge, like I just did my process here. And then the exercise is to cultivate the opposite. And in this case, this would be a feeling where there was a sense of the partner was absolutely not willing to step into the feminine, into the water. The partner was above that. The partner was beyond that. It was quite an arrogance and a superiority complex to the partner. And I feel that what I'm sensing here in this card today is a contrast between love and conditional love. And so that's what I'm going to write down. The exercise is to sit with your first word and to allow, you can close your eyes and allow your physical body to fill up with that word. And mine is love. And this is a love of entire support. It is something that is warm and fulfilling and just something that fills your cup in every way. It nurtures, it heals, it sings, it dances, it's just something truly beautiful. You feel held, you feel cared for. You feel like you can be yourself. And so whatever your word is, you're going to sit with that and just really allow yourself to drink in that feeling. Let that feeling be who you are in this moment. And feel it with every cell in your body. And then you're going to cultivate the opposite. So in my case, I'm going to cultivate conditional love, which is dependent on how I behave. It's dependent on what I do. It's dependent on how I dress, how I look. And I sit with that feeling. I sit with that memory, the experience of the experience of conditional love. And I allow that feeling to be a part of my being. And then I go back to unconditional love. And I feel that again. And then I release that and I go back to conditional love. And you practice this until you feel like you've fully felt both. In some cases, it may be hard to identify if one is good and one is bad, or one is positive and one is negative. And I want to remind you that the perspective of what is good and bad and positive and negative may change over time. I think in my example today, it's pretty obvious, but it's not always so obvious. And so I don't want you to focus on good and bad and positive and negative. You're just cultivating the opposite, and whatever that means for you at that time. The purpose of this exercise is to learn that, or learn to not be in the extremes. So when we feel one, we can quickly change to the other. When we feel one, it won't take us down, down, down into depths of a dark, dark hole that we can't get out of. We'll learn to quickly cultivate the opposite, and vice versa. We don't always want to be in the highest of highs. It's too high, right? So eventually we want to learn to be more in an even keel. And this is a wonderful, wonderful practice for that. And I suggest that this is something that you do every single day. It's a very healing practice. So I want to say good morning. Mary Beth, welcome. And Clevis and IJ, lovely to have you here. So that was yesterday's work. Today, the plan, I feel like a lot of these things we're doing are things that just, take more time. But I promised you 24 things, so I'm going to do that. And assuming that the inspiration is kind of built in along the way, if I don't actually do 3 separate things every day. This is the literary tarot. It was quite a project. Brink's Friction literacy project. And so here's what I've got in mind today. We are shifting energy today in terms of decan. And we are still in Sagittarius. And this is the energy now. We've shifted into the 3rd decan, the 10 of Wands. 10 of Wands can be quite an energy to navigate. It is a ton of fire. It's a lot of fire to carry. And I think in some ways it can be super exciting. I want you to remember, if you're working with the decans, the Knight of Wands is no longer here. Knight of Wands has gone off. And now the Queen of Pentacles has picked this up. Queen of Pentacles is carrying the 10 of Wands. So I don't know what you want to bring into this. You want to think about your mother. You want to think about the hostess with the mostest. The one who does Christmas in a way that is just incredibly extraordinary. I'm going to go with this, right? So I want you to think about the auntie, the mother, the grandmother, who somehow, magically, despite everything around her, is able to bring it all together for the whole family. And so she picks up this 10 of Wands. this enormous responsibility, this tradition that takes some time and weeks and months to navigate, to figure out. And however that arrives, I mean, I know this isn't such a big deal in some families, but I'm just going to use this as an example. The queens in general in the tarot, in all of the astrological signs, pick up a 10 and then had 2 and a 3. And I feel that there's something quite remarkable in this energy. And this really has nothing to do with today's exercise. I'm just sort of front-loading all of this. So the decan is the 10 of Wands. And we have a lot of different interpretations that are out there through different teachers, different decks. And often it is seen as a negative card. However, there's a lot to learn in the 10 of Wands. It is the first completion. It is the first carry through of this incredible suit of dharma, of life purpose. That we want to see something carried to the finish line. There's this place in us that wants to know that we can finish something, that we can see something complete. And yeah, the superlunaris 10 of Wands is, I don't know what the word is. I feel in that one, it reminds me of, so in that one there is, I want to say the culture might be in Mexico somewhere in South America. There is a woman carrying 10 wands. I believe she's walking in front of a rundown building, and it's just what she does. She just carries those sticks home, and she's so capable, and she's not necessarily run down. It's just what she does. And it reminds me of first time I was in Bali, and I was at a so this was years ago. This was in the 80s. And I was at my room, and just beyond my room, the garden of where I was staying, there was a river. And there's these women that appear, and they have come up this steep embankment with towels and enormous ceramic urns of water on their head. And I'm absolutely dumbfounded. Of course, they're barefoot, right? And there are a few of them of various ages, and they're bringing up the water for the day from the river. And of course, they're not holding on to the urns. The urns are balanced on their head. I was 20 something, early 20s. Anyway, I'm so in awe of the strength and the ability of certain humans to thrive in a particular way and world. And yeah, it was a moment for me. 10 of Wands is the decan that we have for this 3rd of Sagittarius until we get to the 21st. Yeah. And so I want to use the exercise today to think about what is the energy that I need No. Well, energy, sure. But we're actually looking for an inspirational person. to help me carry through and navigate my 10 of Wands in the best way possible. Is there a figure in literature? Is there a figure in a favorite movie or television series that you would turn to for inspiration to navigate through the next 7-8 days, to help you with all that you have to do? Now, I'm cheating a little bit because the literary tarot has a character from classic literature on every card. And I'm going to use this as the answer to my question. I'm going to use this as inspiration, and then I'm going to expand with that. All right, so let's look what we've got here. So this is 4 of ink. I'm thinking that's 4 of cups. I'm going to share this, a little bit of this with you before I expand. The King of Elfland's Daughter by Lord Dunsany. Okay. So this character is Holly. I'm just going to read this to you. Holly Black was already knee-deep in writing the introduction feature for our Arcana issue when we approached her to participate in the literary tarot. Luckily for us, she hadn't had enough of us yet and said yes. Her first impulse was to do Daphne du Maurier's Gothic novel Rebecca, and pair it with the Queen of Parchment. We were as mad as her protagonist about the idea, but alas, copyright complications made Rebecca a no-go and took that amazing coupling away. This time, this was no time to fret because Holly was resilient. She next brought us another classic option, The King of Elfland's Daughter, a fantasy written by Lord Dunsany. Holly opened our eyes to this book, telling us Lord Dunsany's The King of Elfland's Daughter is a gorgeously told fairy tale narrated with a great deal of compassion for all the players. It's about Elveric, who marries Lyrazel, the princess of Elfland, and then loses her due to his expectations that she will behave like a human wife and stop worshipping the stars. He must then go on a quest to find Elfland and win her back. Not only did Holly know her book, but she also knew which card it would work best, and immediately she snagged the 4 of ink, a card known for speaking to issues of family and community, either seeing them joined together in harmony or disrupted by confusion, conflict, and strife. Okay, so let me just go. I haven't used this deck in ages. I want to make sure that... Anyway, what I'm struck by here at in this image is the anguish of the figure on the front of the card. And there's most definitely a reason that this card has been chosen for me today. So ink, sorry, it is not. Ink is fire. In this deck, light is the cups. So this is 4 of fire. And I guess because of the wedding, it kind of looks like a 4 of wands. Okay. All right. I might spend a little more time reflecting on this and rereading this kind of poorly written description here. But what I want to do with this exercise is to work with the energy of this card. And I'm going to bring in more from the 4 of Wands that seems to be important here in my question. So what I'm going to do is draw together some characters from literature and from movies, from maybe even real life figures that represent a particular aspect of the 4 of Wands that are going to help me with this idea of follow through and carry through. That is an important aspect of this decan. There's a quality in the 4 of Wands that has become really important to me, and that is the Venusian aspect of that decan showing up in all the heat and the fire of Aries and the 4 of Wands. And my mind now is drifting to a biblical movie where, and I've shared this with you before, where mothers come together to, they're commenting about the chuppah that has been made for the family, and the rich mother doesn't think the chuppah is quite extravagant enough. And anyway, the 2 mothers come together in the best interest of the couple being married. And there's this feeling that I'm having here of, despite not being entirely comfortable in a situation, you sort of show up and show your support and do the best that you can in your own way to help see something through, help see something fulfilled. And it's really interesting where my mind is going right now in connecting characters who kind of stand in the background and don't need to shine. They don't need to be the one who gets the credit for something. They don't need to be the one who is acknowledged. And so my inspiration for this, wow, I'm going to need to journal a little bit, and think about, okay, so I'm going to go to children's literature. This might seem kind of weird. I'm going to go to E.B. White's Charlotte's Web. And this is such a beautiful story. And Charlotte, the title character, is one who gives herself selflessly so that the pig Wilbur will be recognized as an amazing pig at the state fair. And I'm not going to tell you the story if you don't know the story. But there's something here about the selfless service of Charlotte. And in the end of the story, she dies. And It's quite a poignant, layered tale for children. So that's one. I'm going to think about Charlotte and what Charlotte would do to help see something carried through. So I have a few things going on in my mind. So that's one. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to think about some of the favorite, a few favorite movies, TV series, and I want to think about characters who have helped others carry something through. So in this exercise, there's a few parts to this, and I want to lay this down because I'm sure some of you are confused. Where is Sadhana going with this? And the challenging part of this is I'm putting a kind of purpose to it. You don't necessarily have to do that. Very simply, you can shuffle a tarot deck and you're going to turn over a card and you're going to say who this reminds you of. Ace of Pentacles. Who does the energy of the Ace of Pentacles remind you of? The gift of giving. The gift of giving. A generous spirit. This is a card of a great uncle. It's a card of a philanthropist, perhaps. And you would think of a book. You would think of a movie where a great kind soul, if that's what came to mind, And I'm also, right now, what's coming to mind is A Christmas Carol. And the gift that all of those spirits gave Ebenezer Scrooge. The gift of remembering. And so on a certain level, that's all this is to associate any given card with a character, a movie, literature. Okay, so that's sort of the basic level of this exercise. However, I'm adding a layer to this. I'm saying I'm going to need this character to help me with this particular decan. This decan of 10 of Wands. And so, sorry, I'm so congested this morning. I'm going to use this character, Charlotte, from Charlotte's Web, among others who I'm going to think about after I sign off, to really inspire my actions the next 10 days. This idea of maybe helping another carry something through to the end. Okay? So I'm going to leave you with that for today, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you.